taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we have two Tier 5 replays that we're going to take a look at. The video today is a little longer than normal, and that's simply because, we didn't put out a video yesterday. I kind of alluded to the fact that this was going to be a fairly busy weekend for me, what with family being in town, younger sister's birthday and all, so that's sort of what I was doing yesterday, and just didn't have time to get anything together, but we'll make up for it today just by having a little longer video. So we are going to start off in the Kamikaze R, of course, and we are on north once again, right? So we're just sort of taking a look around, beginning of the battle sort of stuff, right, where I want to go. Now keep in mind I am in a destroyer, so there are 3 different cap points on this map at this time, so I'm going to kind of try for B. That's usually my first play unless I start over there by A, then I'll go right into A, at least try to, because on this map it always seems that the battle does happen over at A, and then, especially with the 3 cap points, whoever can control B is usually going to be the victor. We do have some allied ships who are going to make their way to C, specifically an allied destroyer, and I mean that's fine, right? It's just one ship, one destroyer. Well, I mean destroyers are fairly important, but at least that guy or that destroyer hopefully is fairly fast, he's got his boost on, can get in there, cap C, and maybe get out, and then come and help us out at B if need be. That was a lot of B's. But anyway, that is the hope from that player. So myself, kind of pushing in here to B. Like I said, no real enemies have popped up as of yet on the map, by A that we would really need to be concerned about, and by B we can see some enemies, but they're behind the islands over here, right? So yeah, they don't really see us. We're not going to see them as of yet anyway. So it gives us an excellent opportunity, and of course this is myself and the friendly destroyer ahead of me. Excellent opportunity to get in here and cap this B point. There are enemy planes in the air, so we do kind of need to be aware of these guys. But generally speaking, right now, even if we got spotted, probably not the biggest of deal, because there's not too many enemy ships that would be able to take effective shots off at us, right? We have we have one battleship off in the port, and then we have another battleship over there as well, right? So yeah, don't really need to be concerned about it. Plus I'm going to move into cover. There we go. Enemy destroyer pops up. So now this enemy destroyer, obviously this guy's going to be a threat. Now I can launch torpedoes, but I was kind of hesitant to do so because I figured my ally friendly destroyer over there would have turned into the enemy, right? So I didn't want to get my torpedoes in the water and potentially limit the maneuvers that my friendly destroyer could do. So instead I'm going to play it safe, let my friendly destroyer hopefully take out the enemy destroyer. I'm going to line up on this enemy battleship here. Hopefully we can take that guy out. So my friendly destroyer does manage to take out the enemy destroyer, so fantastic, that is excellent. Hopefully my torpedoes will be able to go in and take out this enemy battleship. Enemy destroyer though did get torpedoes off before he died, and luckily my friendly destroyer was able to avoid those. So good dodge there as well. My torpedoes are still making their way over there to the enemy battleship. You can see enemy battleship just got really lucky there with a nice shot and took out about, maybe a little under, or rather a little over half my health. So the enemy battleship, being no fool, decides to turn and avoid my torpedoes, narrowly avoid the torpedoes. I know we didn't quite see it, but it was a narrow avoidance there. But good job by that player anyway. So we almost have B now. We're capping A, and the enemy is taking C, right? We did have C briefly. Our allied destroyer over there did manage to get in there and cap it, and then left. And I mean, that's fine. That's fine. So the enemy now has C, but we've managed to take B, and we're still capping A, so things are looking pretty good for us here. So we're going to come around, kind of push into the south here and see what the enemy is doing, because still, there hasn't been a whole lot of enemy ships pop up, and now we can see why. Most of the enemies are down here in the sort of southeast part of the map, right? Which was kind of a strange play, and it probably attributes to why this battle went so quickly, because, these guys just really, I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, lining up torpedoes on this enemy battleship battleship here. Hopefully the torpedoes are actually going to hit him, but I don't really have high hopes. And you can see I really did take quite a risk there launching those torpedoes so close to my friendly Kamikaze like that. I mean, he had to turn away from the torpedoes, and I probably shouldn't have launched them and maybe held off just to let the battleship finish his turn, right, before I go ahead and shoot torpedoes at her, rather the St. Louis. From this distance, though. St. Louis is, I mean, arguably at Tier 3, the St. Louis is quite a little, like a mini battleship, if you will. Anyway, Allied Kamikaze manages to take out the St. Louis, so fantastic. Good job by the Kamikaze once again. And we can see we still have the same enemy battleship over here on the port side of the ship. So we're going to launch torpedoes at that guy because he is within range. Now we're going to turn away, right? I don't want to get spotted by that player. Especially right now, I'm on really low health at this point in time too, right? So I'm trying to play it fairly safe, trying to launch torpedoes pretty much at the maximum range while not being detected. So the golden sort of range there is about 6.5 kilometers, right? Give yourself some leeway in case the enemy is moving away from you. So torpedoes are on the way for the Congo. You can see the enemies are now capping A as well. So we are going to need to make a play here. We can't just sit in B at this point in time. We need to do something. So I'm going to try and take out this enemy Congo here, and then maybe work my way over to A if no one else in my team does anything, right? I mean, we do have a few ships over there by C who might be able to get in there and cap it, and if so, I may not have to go to A, but need to be prepared to sort of get myself over there and take that cap if need be at this point in time, right? Want to keep the option available. So the Congo is moving behind the island. You can see him here, so I'm going to try and get an ambush going on him here. You can see lining up torpedoes. I was hoping that he would have continued his turn so that he would pass through the little narrow channel there. Unfortunately though, I mean, he turns a little later than I was hoping, and you can see now, I mean, I'm not in any position to launch torpedoes because they'll just run right into the island. So I need to clear the island, launch torpedoes basically at point blank, hope that they take him out because I'm on really low health once again, and then maybe skirt on over to A and cap that, and come back to B and see what's going on at that point in time. So that's going to be the general plan at this time. So we can see the Congo here. It does look like the Congo is going for a strategic grounding, so I'm going to anticipate this and launch my torpedoes. At the last minute, the Congo does start to turn away, right? But I launched my torpedoes really close to him, so not a whole lot of chance there for him to avoid those. So 3 torpedo hits, fantastic. Take out the Congo. Excellent. Now we're going to go into A. We need to do something about A over here. We do have some enemy bombers flying overhead, so, well, torpedo bombers anyway, so need to keep these guys in mind, but luckily they're not going for me, right? I mean, they can fully see me, and this would be a pretty good opportunity to take out an enemy destroyer, but it is always fairly risky with dive bombers to take out enemy destroyers. Now, I'm saying that as, you know, not being a carrier captain, so carrier captains, correct me if I'm wrong, but as, you know, a destroyer player, avid destroyer player, I do dodge quite a few torpedo bomber torpedoes and runs, attack runs. Sometimes, yes, they definitely do get me, and we've seen some of those in the Ever Wonder series, but for the most part, no, I'm able to avoid those fairly easily. Anyway, moved into A, and you can see we've started to cap A, so fantastic. We do have a lead in points anyway because of the number of enemy ships that we were able to take out so far, but still want to secure this second point to give us the advantage. So enemy, what is that, Königsberg or Nuremberg? Probably well, one of those 2 ships anyway, pops up here. So I immediately launched torpedoes off and pop my smoke, right? Because this enemy cruiser here really did surprise me. I didn't expect to see this player here, so wanted to get away from him, and obviously, you know, being a cruiser, he's easily going to be able to take me out fairly quickly, so I'm going to need to not be seen and get myself behind some cover very quickly here. So pop the smoke, so that's fantastic. I moved out of detection range, launched off my torpedoes, and now we can skirt around this island here, and if those torpedoes I launched off the enemy cruiser don't hit him, then what I'm going to be able to do is hopefully set up an ambush and take that guy out. Well, take the player out, I should say. But that would be the ideal situation here, right? Enemies in the meantime have moved into B, and they've almost capped B actually, so we need to get ourselves over here as quick as possible to try and take that back. Again, we still have the lead in points, but very important, in overall points, but very important that we keep a lead in actual caps as well, because with 2 cap zones that the enemies have right now, they might be able to start taking off some of our ships fairly quickly. I mean, there goes one of our enemies, or there goes one of my allies, right? So they can really close this gap pretty quickly with these 2 caps that they have right now. So we can see the enemy cruiser is closing in, so it does look like we might be able to get an ambush off, but he's still, a little bit out of my range here, so I'm gonna have to set up a little, and it isn't ideal. I was really hoping that the enemy cruiser would have came out a lot closer from behind this island that we just moved away from, and then really just launch torpedoes basically at point blank, but didn't work out that way. So I'm gonna have to do something fairly risky here. I am going to need to skirt this bit of island, or this bit of landmass here off to the port side as close as I possibly can, hoping that it don't become detected while launching torpedoes off at targets of opportunity that present themselves. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty difficult here. I do have my boost on, but the boost is about to run out. The boost does make it fairly less risky to sort of pull this off. Anyway, didn't get spotted, and I do see an enemy cruiser here. So we start launching torpedoes at the enemy cruiser. Luckily for myself, don't get spotted through that whole maneuver and manage to pull off a pretty good stealthy torpedo run here. I mean, those torpedoes are looking good at so far anyway, and hopefully I can just sort of then go back, circle around, right, and use this little channel or the channel next to it as well, just to keep launching torpedoes off the enemies here. Now while this is going on, one of my allies did manage to get in there to the C cap and take it, so excellent job by that ally, by that player, right? Because I don't really have the health right now to go in there and sort of duke it out with the enemy ships here at B. I will quickly die. So those torpedoes were excellent, did manage to take out that enemy with 2 torpedo hits, so he's gone, don't need to worry about that player anymore. Fantastic. So we can see an enemy Wyoming here, right, and I really want to take out this enemy Wyoming. Not only is a fairly big threat to my allies here, but I can set up a pretty good ambush on him right now, I think, because he doesn't spot me. If I can just get these torpedoes off, these battleships are fairly slow, and if he just drives in a straight line, those will get him. So we're going to hope on those, and I'm getting a little arrogant at this point in time, right? So I'm going to try and pull off similar maneuver, skirting the island to the port side as close as I possibly can while not being detected, move into this channel here and launch more torpedoes off. This time it's a little more hairy. I did get detected there briefly, but quickly became undetected, so fantastic. We are going to get ourselves into this channel now and take a look at maybe that other enemy Wyoming. We can see him coming up here. Hopefully we might be able to get him. So torpedoes go out and manage to hit the Wyoming that we launched at originally, right? Got 4 torpedoes hit on that guy, so that's pretty fantastic. Didn't kill him, but he is very close. So we can see this enemy Wyoming that I'm lined up on now, right? He is quickly coming into my torpedo range. So there we go, launch torpedoes off. I did bring my ship to a stop. I'm going to reverse, and now we're going to move out of this channel potentially. That's what the plan was, but I'm taking a look around and I'm thinking that, the position that I'm in right now is fairly decent. I might be able to get this enemy cruiser over here as well. I am detected at this point in time, so I do pop my smoke. Unfortunately though, because I was detected, the second enemy Wyoming that I launched torpedoes off does know that those torpedoes are on the way for him, so he's taking evasive action against those right now. But this enemy cruiser, I don't know about this guy. We are going to need to take this guy out, I think, because he's the one who's really spotting me at this time, but you can see I'm still sort of fixated on that enemy Wyoming, right? I do want to take out one enemy battleship here before the match ends, because at this point in time we are going to win this. We've got the A point, we've got the C point. The majority of the enemies are concentrated in B. The other enemies really aren't making any sort of plays on the other caps, so as long as we can keep this up, we are going to take this. So enemy cruiser starts trying to hunt me down, right? We can see him here, so I'm going to start engaging him with guns because he's on really low health, kind of freaking out, so I do ground myself. Torpedoes are on the way for the Wyoming, but the Wyoming, I'm pretty sure, already knows that they're coming. Managed to gun down the enemy cruiser, well, gun him down, right? He was on really low health anyway. get 2 torpedo hits on the enemy Wyoming, but only hit the bow, right? So it didn't do that much damage. So we're going to have to maybe try and get some more torpedoes off. Now, the enemy Wyoming doesn't see me right now. This is because I'm still in my smoke that I had popped originally when the cruiser had spotted me, the enemy Konigsberg that we took out. So I'm going to hide here. Now there, I am detected, right, because the smoke is dissipating now. But the enemy Wyoming is really, really close to me. So hopefully those torpedoes are going to go in there and take him out before we actually win this. Because the points now are pretty high up there, right? We only need, and there we go, 1 more kill. And we're going to win it. And one of my allies got the kill, so kudos to that player. And we win, right? With 11 torpedo hits, 3 kills, 1 devastating strike. So we managed to get 2nd overall on the team. You can see my ally Genvi there had an amazing game as well, so kudos to that player. Did a bit of damage, get a bit of credit, so that is fantastic. Nothing wrong with that at all. So moving into the next clip now, or shortly, there we go. You can see that we are back with Rommel. We're on straight, and basically this is kind of like reverse situation of the video we put up a few days ago, right? Where instead, in this time, I'm sort of in the Omaha type cruiser in my Marblehead, and Rommel is the one in his Congo. And you can see as well that this time we spawned on the opposite side in the south, right? Now the Marblehead, I mean, I still really do enjoy this this tier 5 cruiser. I'm very happy with it, and I mean, obviously I enjoyed it a whole lot more when advanced firing training was still a thing, right? Nowadays, without the advanced firing training, I mean, we're back down to, I think it's 12 kilometers or a little less than that range on the guns, which is pretty limiting, I'll say, with some hesitation, right? I mean, I can still manage to do fairly decent with her, right? I can kind of get in there close enough that get my guns off and take targets down quickly enough that I can kind of survive the whole ordeal. But it doesn't happen all the time, right? You really have to play it carefully. So in this battle, that's exactly what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and play it carefully, take out things as quick as I possibly can. The biggest targets for me in this battle are going to be lower tier enemy cruisers or same tier enemy cruisers and destroyers. That's what I'm going to try and take out when I see them. And then if any enemy battleships are within my range, then obviously I'm going to try and burn them down as quickly as possible. But enemy cruisers and enemy destroyers is what I'm going to be focused on first. So enemy Karlsruhe pops up, right? And this is our first target that we're taking shots off at. And then suddenly enemy destroyer pops up as well. So, alright, we'll take some shots off the destroyer. The destroyers, for me anyway, are a bigger threat and main focus on a cruiser. And I say for me, but I think it's fairly obvious that that's exactly what the cruiser should be doing. Obviously, there are players who don't do that all the time, but you know, if you're in a cruiser, you probably should be taking out destroyers first. Now the enemy destroyer we do have is popping in and out of sight, right? We can see him there, he's turning away now, so not necessarily the best time to start firing off at him, so I do continue to fire at the Karlsruhe. And you can see I'm trying to figure out what ammo should I be firing at this Karlsruhe. I do have armor piercing loaded right now, but not really happy with the results I'm getting from some of the damage, and I'm thinking to myself that it might be better to actually queue up some high explosive here, right? Maybe set some fires, do a bit more damage, but to be fair, he's not really angled too well against me. Now, the few shells that I am landing on the Karlsruhe are doing a bit of damage here, not too bad, I guess, but I'm still confused with Karlsruhe specifically. You know, am I supposed to be firing armor piercing or high explosive? What is the better ammo choice there? So we clear the barrels of the armor piercing. We're going to load up high explosive and see what other targets we can take out here. So enemy Azuchi over there in the distance. Now this is a pretty big threat for my Marblehead. You know, if one lucky Citadel hit from this guy, and I am going to go down basically. So I want to try and be careful, but you know, not too careful. I don't want to just, you know, stay out of my gun range. I want to be able to actually fire at the enemy and, you know, keep them on fire. Keep in mind that I've got Rommel in the background, right, help me out with targets here as well. Now, the Congo obviously, as discussed in the comments from the last video in the Congo, yeah, the dispersion on that thing is just atrocious. And it's really all up to RNG as to whether or not you're going to have a good game in her, but still, he's back there, you know, doing what he can. So continue to put shots into the Izuchi, but, you know, again, still trying to play it safe. If he starts to target me, right, then I'm going to try and limit the broadside that I give him and hopefully dodge any incoming shells. Doing a pretty good job at keeping the enemy Izuchi on fire. But you can see enemy destroyer is basically right in front of us. We don't see him now, but I did pop acoustic sonar just in case he launched torpedoes. But I'm going to get myself ready to take on this destroyer here, because we really want to try and get the destroyers gone. Again, obvious reasons. So we start taking shots off the enemy Nicholas. You can see, you know, the first shots weren't too great. Didn't lead the target enough. But those second salvos, you know, weren't too bad. Managed to hit him with a few. We're going to launch off some torpedoes as well, just in case the enemy Nicholas decides to be in that area at that time. The torpedoes on the Marblehead aren't anything spectacular, really. Their biggest advantage is the range. I think about 8 kilometers on the range there. But the amount of damage they do is really, really crappy. It's really, really, really minimal. Anyway, land a few nice shots there on the enemy destroyer. Managed to set him on fire as well, so that's pretty great. You can just barely make it out there, but you did see that the enemy destroyer put out the fire that I set. So at least now we know that his repair ability is on cooldown for right now anyway. So we do see a number of enemy targets off in the distance, right? Enemy destroyer pops up again. He's reversing. Gonna try and get some sneaky torpedoes off on me, obviously. But we also need to keep in mind all of those enemy ships in the background. And basically, it kind of looks like those enemy ships are in a full retreat, doesn't it? It kind of looks like they just like, nah, we don't need to defend this base at all. Anyway, enemy Nicholas, there he is again. He does manage to launch off torpedoes at me, but they're not going to hit me, right? He didn't lead me well enough, or far enough on those torpedoes, so I don't have any worries about those hitting me. The only thing I have to worry about is the enemy Nicholas turning around, much like he is now, right, and launching the torpedoes off from his other side. So before that happens, I managed to land a few more nice shots, but you can see I'm getting some pretty significant return fire, right, from the enemies in the background. So I did have to put out a fire, repair my engines there. We continue to focus on the Nicholas while we can see him, but we're going to have to do something here about some of these enemy cruisers, specifically this one right here. So we can see it is an Omaha class cruiser, maybe a Phoenix. No, that kind of looks like an Omaha, so we do need to queue up some armor piercing here. This would be ideal, and I'm a little slow to queue up the armor piercing, and it's not because I didn't recognize, you know, to switch over to the armor piercings. I'm keeping my high explosive in the barrels just in case the enemy destroyer pops up again, right? There he is there, the Nicholas, so I'm immediately switch back over to the Nicholas because I do want to take out this enemy destroyer. If I can take this enemy destroyer out, then I can focus on the enemy cruiser, because again, my primary focus is going to be enemy destroyers. I don't want the enemy destroyers to get past me and maybe take Rommel out, or, you know, take out any other of my allies as well, right? That would kind of suck. So the enemy to Nicholas does go back to, you know, behind the cover, and I can't see him anymore. So we're going to line up some torpedoes here on this enemy Congo. Hopefully, if he just drives in a straight line, chances are he won't, because there are some, you know, obstacles in the way. Those torpedoes will hit him. So there's my first kill. Now that was the enemy Nicholas. He had burnt to death, so thank God. He's gone. Don't need to worry about that guy anymore. So now we're going to continue to focus on, you know, the enemy cruiser over here. So we get some last shots off in the enemy Congo. Managed to set him on fire again, I believe. So that is fantastic. But now we want to try and take this guy out here. And we can see that he's on fire. He is presenting a pretty good broadside to me, so now would be an excellent opportunity to switch over to the armor piercing. But this is a situation where no, I am slow on the switch over. I was still sort of, you know, debating whether or not I should go back to the Congo or go back to the enemy cruiser. The Congo was a whole lot closer, but behind cover, right? You can see that I'm constantly switching back over, trying to figure it out. Now, the enemy cruiser here goes out of my firing range, so it makes the decision for me, right? I'm not going to chase down the enemy cruiser if I've got a Congo right here, because as soon as I come out from cover and that the player has a good shot on me, definitely he's going to take that shot and might actually take me out, because I'm only on half health right now. So we have to switch over to the Congo. So I launch off torpedoes, you know, led the target a little there based on the suggestion. If the enemy Congo continues in the reverse that the player is in now, I am going to torpedo the Congo, maybe take him out. Right, the torpedoes don't do a bunch of damage, but they do a bit, and this enemy Congo doesn't have a whole lot of health left. In the meantime, I'm just going to continue trying to break cover here so that I can start getting shots in on the Congo, take him out. But then I start thinking, well, you know, I've got torpedoes on the starboard side as well, so we're going to line these up, and we'll shoot these ahead in case the enemy Congo decides to go forward, right? And I'm holding off on them, don't actually end up firing them because I wanted to hit the player, obviously, and where this Congo is basically in a stop, kind of going forward now, I thought that I might be able to get some torpedoes off on him. So point blank range, here we go, torpedoes are launched. Now we're going to just start to put shells into him. Saving grace in all of this is that you can see it there as well. The enemy Congo does not have his turrets pointed towards me, so it's only secondaries that are firing at me right now. That is the only reason why I'm surviving this right now. So we do manage to get a torpedo hit and finish off the enemy Congo. The enemy Congo is on very low health anyway. So enemy cruiser, we're going to have to deal with this enemy cruiser now. Something has to be done about this menace, right? Obviously this Omaha can outrange me, so I do need to take some evasive action while I'm firing off my guns. And we're going to switch over to armor piercing here as well. Need to get the high explosive gone, so there goes the last volley of high explosive, and start loading up the armor piercing, because if we can get a nice citadel hit on this guy, he's going to be gone. We do manage to set him on fire with that last hit, and it's doing a bit of damage here, so really, I guess it doesn't matter what I would have fired at him. He's going to go down anyway. So we fire off a few more salvos here. You can see the enemy cruiser basically turned into that one, which resulted in, you know, really low damage being done there. Armor piercing is loaded, right? It's just so ironic. When I switch over to the armor piercing, the time to switch over to the armor piercing has passed. Now I should have the high explosive loaded again, but it's not going to happen. We need to focus on the torpedoes, though. You can see narrowly avoiding this torpedo here. That was close. I'm pretty sure that would have finished me off. We need to take out this cruiser, so finally, if we can just get this last shot into him here, he'll be gone and he'll stop shooting at me. So there we go. Enemy cruiser is gone. I managed to survive. Fantastic. It's just basically myself down here at this point in time. Rommel went back to our base to defend it, right? Because you can see that a lot of the allied ships we had up there are actually dead. Luckily for us, the enemy ships who were down here at B, again, have sort of run off. For whatever reason, they decided that this was just too much for them. Marblehead on this low health is just too big of a threat, so they can't stick around. They've got to get out of there. So I'm just going to move in here and start capping their base, right? We're going to set course for the center of their base. Well, we're going to set course for the outskirts of their base, right? Try and keep some distance between myself and the enemies in case they decide to turn around. But more importantly, start capping the enemy base, right? That is what we want to do, get the victory here. While we're doing this, we can count on Rommel up there in our base to actually defend the base, right? And that's sort of the beauty of the whole division thing, and especially team battles right now, right? Where we can play with people we know and we trust, and if they split off from us, it's really easy to coordinate, and he says, I'm going to go up there and defend the base while you stay down here and cap. Makes it really easy to divide and conquer, if you will. Very big advantage to actually playing in a division, using TeamSpeak or actively communicating through division chat, or even chat in game, or just playing with clanmates as well. Similar thing in team battles, obviously. Just makes a world of difference, and also just makes the game more enjoyable, because this is really how the game is ideally meant to be played. Now, obviously, I play a lot of solo battles just because, I don't know, it's not that I enjoy it more than divisioning. I don't know, I just do. But anyway, getting back on topic, in the base, right? So we are capping the base. You can see enemy aircraft carrier over here. So I was really surprised that this enemy aircraft carrier decided to stay right here. I figured that all of these enemies had left, and I couldn't really believe that this guy would just stay here, considering all of his, there's only 2 enemy battleships well, there's 3 enemy combatant ships remaining. So I figured, that the aircraft carrier would have went with those guys, but nope, decides to hide behind a rock. So okay, that's fine. You can see that I do want to stay in the enemy base here, and I do actually want to continue to cap it. But at the same time, it would be nice if I could get some shots off at this enemy aircraft carrier, and maybe even take the player out. Because if the enemy aircraft carrier does have any planes remaining, he can quickly launch those planes at me, and maybe reset the cap that I'm doing right now. So we're going to try and see with the torpedoes there what the enemy aircraft carrier was doing, and I can just barely make out the stern of the ship. So I start firing into the stern, take out the steering, set them on fire. So fantastic. If we can just stay right where we are, we can continue to fire in at this enemy. So now I have to turn because want to make sure that I stay within the enemy cap here, so that I can continue to cap out their base. Managed to get a Confederate medal there with the burning of this enemy aircraft carrier, which is pretty great as well. And now we're sort of just continuing to circle around in the enemy base, firing our guns and doing whatever damage we possibly can to the enemy aircraft carrier here. So ideally, I should have stopped, right? Should have stopped and just continued to fire where I had the good shots at the enemy aircraft carrier. But I was concerned about enemy ships coming in, or other enemy aircraft coming in, right, and taking me out on such low health that I just didn't want to take too many chances, and it kind of limited me there, I guess, because I really didn't have anything to worry about, did I? I really could have just stopped. Maybe taken out this enemy aircraft carrier, but whatever, doesn't matter. Battle is over, and we have won. Fantastic. So not a too bad of a game here. Managed to get 3 kills, a Confederate medal, bit of damage done, bit of experience earned as well, which was fantastic. 15 fires is what I saw there, so that wasn't too bad at all. Top of the team overall as well. And what is that? Probably 78,000 experience or something like that. So that is pretty good as well. Especially at tier 5 in the Marblehead with the lower range now that the Marblehead has. And obviously, walk away with a bunch of credits and money. So fantastic. Excellent. So that is today's video. Our winner of the riddle contest has been credited. The gold one chose $6,500 or 6,500 gold. So fantastic. Congratulations to the player once again, and thank you to Poodhead for offering that. So hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Leave any comments you have for me, obviously, in the video comment section below. Hit subscribe, and as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.